Hey, everybody, it's 2022 fall, Math 21. We are looking at Chapter 2 in statistics. It's on organizing data, and we're about to cover 2.1 on frequency and relative frequency. And we'll show you how to do it in Statcrunch as well. So, just to start off, I'm going to give you some data. And I did this. This happened in the spring of 2020. I had 3 stats classes. In the year of our pandemic, when it started, before it started, this was asked beforehand. I asked, this was my question, what time of day do you do your best work? Okay. You know, some people are morning people. Some people are, I do better staying up till 1 in the morning, working then when everybody else is asleep.
Sorry, what was your question? I wasn't in the room.
What time of day do you do your best work?
In the morning. So
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And maybe I will add your result to the one I'm about to do. Yes, let's do that. You said morning, I'll add you to my morning data. So I gave 5 options. This is what I asked in 2022. And my 5 options were morning. I had noon. I said afternoon. I said evening. And I said late night. I didn't actually specify what those times meant. I let each person pick. Usually people focus at afternoon, might be 1 or 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Evening is when people get off the traditional 9 to 5 job. So maybe 5 o'clock to 9 or 10 o'clock. And then late night might be 10 to 2 or 3 in the morning. So people were allowed to pick. I didn't say. These were the responses I got after I combined them up and summarized them numerically. For morning people, I got with I got 25, 26. I had 25 before. I'm going to add yours 26. Noon, I had 30. Afternoon, I had 20. Evening, I had 17. And late night, I had 9. And this includes +1 for manual. So what I have listed here, these are called the frequencies. I don't need that there. Frequencies. Frequency is the number of times a response occurs in the data. So without, I might still have the survey. I might be able to load it up. But what I mean is, like when I'm asking people, I might get morning. Third person says evening. 4th person says noon. 5th person says morning again. So like going through and counting up each time, morning was said 26 times. That was the response. That's what I mean by number of times a response occurs. if I add that up, I should be getting, there's 102 in that group. Okay, so frequencies can be pretty helpful, but they're not the most helpful thing. I want to give you a second to write that down before we go on to the next part. Actually, I'm going to leave that where we can see it because we're going to reference that in a second. So, as I was saying, frequencies can be helpful. I'm going to cover up that morning, evening bit so I have more room to write. But relative frequencies tend to be much more useful. And this is why. If I tell you 26 people said morning, and you didn't see the other responses, you didn't know how many people that were in the survey, does 26 really mean anything at all? If I asked 30 people and 26 people said morning, it means a shit ton. If I asked 10,000 people and only 26 people said morning, it means most people don't like mornings. So just having the actual frequency isn't generally what we want. So we're going to shoot for the relative frequency. And the relative frequency is how often an outcome occurs relative or compared to the rest of the results. Or the rest of the outcomes.
So the relative frequency of the numbers you have above would be the total number, the 102?
We're going to, we'll do the relative frequency right now. I'm going to show you how to do it.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
calculation.
Oh, okay.
So to calculate, I'm going to abbreviate this RF. Relative frequency will be RF. To calculate RF, divide each frequency by the total survey. In the survey or outcome kind of thing. The way we usually represent this is F over N. Sometimes they put X over N. F is the frequencies. N is always, little n is always size of sample, which is basically total number of outcomes. I'm getting off screen here. So while you guys are writing that, I'm going to rewrite those categories above, and we'll do the relative frequencies there. And so we had 102 total. That's going to come into play. For each of the categories, morning I had 26. Maybe I should put some lines in here to help guide me. Because I kind of squeezed my text together right here. That wasn't very good. So morning had 26. What I'm going to do is divide 26 by 102. So when I show fractions, I'll either put 26 over 102 or 26, 102 like that. These are both a fraction. And I'll do that with each one of these. I will put the number that we had before. There was 30 in noon over 102. Afternoon, we had 20 over 102. What are my other ones I got here? Evening was 17. I'll divide that by 102. And late night was 9. I'll divide that by 102. So a fraction, as a reminder, it may have been a while since you guys have done fractions. What this 26 over 102 means is 26 divided by 102. So, calculator time. 26 divided by 102. I'm going to put down 4 digits. Let's go with 4 digits. 0.2549. And I'll do this with each of them. I'll do 30 divided by 102. 0.2941. The way I'm deciding whether I round is I look at the next number. Right now, this one is my last one. I look at the next number. If this is 5 or larger, I round up. If it's 0 through 4, I leave the 1 as is. So I haven't had to round yet, but I might have to before this is all said and done. I'm going to have to round here. My 4th digit is a 0. And I look at the 5th digit, it's a 7. 7 is larger than 5 or larger, so I'm going to round the 0 up to a 1. And I'm going to record this as 0.1961. So that's a little reminder on how to round, a little reminder on division and what fractions are. We'll turn this into a percentage in a second to even refresh that memory for you. 17 divided by 102. Wow, it's a perfect one, a repeating number. So I got 0.166. The next one's a 6 followed by a 6. I round that 6 up to a 7. And finally, the late night number 102 and divided, 102. I've got 0.0882. Just so you know, it's probably not going to show up anywhere, but it might. Oftentimes when you, I'll put it back up on the screen where you can see it. When you have this 6 is repeating or whatever, if you've got something that's repeating, the way they show a repeating decimal is they do this. The number that gets repeated gets a line over it. This means keep putting 6s after it without stop. Okay. That's a fun little tip. If you had something like 0.2131313 and it kept going like that, they would say 0.213 and put a par over 1 and 3, because that's the part that's getting repeated. Little quick math lesson in there for you that may or may not be relevant. We'll find out. through the course of the semester if they use it in the textbook. I don't recall. So these are decimal versions. If we want to make a percentage, what we can do is we move the decimal right twice. So if I move it right twice, this becomes 8.82, and I can slap on a percentage symbol. So I do that with each of these, move it right twice. I get 16.67%, 19.61%, 29.41%, and 25.49%. So that's converting decimals to percentages. If you wanted to go the other way to convert a percentage to a decimal, instead of moving right twice, you move it left twice. And then drop the percentage. The easiest way to know if you're doing it right is if you end with a 0 in front. The only way to get a number in front that isn't 0 when you have a decimal format is if you had more than 100%, which doesn't make sense. So these numbers should add to 1.0. And these should add to 100%. And you might have 0.999 and not exactly 1. And that's just because of rounding. They might actually give you a question and ask you, what's the missing value? And they'll give you 4 of the values, say, what's the missing value? You just find out what you need to plug in to make it add up to 1. We'll look at some examples for that later.
Wait, I am confused on the 1.0 on the green part.
Okay, let's add up these values right here. I'm going to add up 0.2549 plus 0.2941 plus 0.1961 plus 0.1667 plus 0.0882. And I wasn't looking at what I typed or the screen, so if I miskeyed, this is going to be wrong, but notice it added up to 1. So these relative frequencies should add up to 1.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. Yeah, that does. Okay, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
And in a little bit, I'll show you how to find the missing value. They will give you problems like that. We'll talk about that. I wanted to show you how to do this stuff in Statcrunch, because adding all this shit up can be tedious. Calculating relative frequency isn't that bad once you've added up the frequency, but Statcrunch is our go-to tool. Is our tech wizard for doing stat stuff. I will frequently throughout the rest of the semester abbreviate this SC, because I will say Statcrunch enough that you'll get tired of it. So I want to show you how to get to Statcrunch first. Oh, Natalie, I just made that number up to show what happens if you have more than one number repeating. It's not part of the example. So let me cross that off. That was not part of the example. Okay, so you come over here, you're in your, minimize that thing so it's not in the way. You're in your, what the hell? Where did it go? There it is. Let's maybe to the end so I can find you if I misclick again. When you go to your homework, this is one of the classes. I chose this one. You click on Statcrunch. And you can visit the Statcrunch website. Every once in a while, I'll say, I'll do something from the data sets. This isn't in the data set. As long as you paid for the class, you get Statcrunch for free. You have some options here. If you've done some surveys, you could, or saved the data, you can check your data here. If you've done surveys, your results are over here. Let me see if my survey that I did in spring 2020 is over here. I may not have done it in Statcrunch. Doesn't look like I did. Let me check my data. I might have saved it in my data. Here. It is. Some people did not answer. So actually bringing up the data gives a good time to point something out. It might be best to not include people that don't have any results. Notice rows 43, 44, and 45, there's no results. So we could eliminate them. We don't want to include them in the results. They're already there. Let's see, how can I? Edit, rows, delete. Let's see how many people I have here. I probably have enough. I'm going to add Emmanuel's response here. He said morning. I'm going to add it. Notice this column that says best time. It has those types of responses. So what I'm going to do in Statcrunch is to do frequencies or relative frequencies. We are going to click on stats at the top. Then we're going to click on tables. And then we're going to click on frequency. And since I'm about to cover that up, I'll write them vertically here. Stats, tables, frequency. I kind of like to show it going to the left or right, and I normally don't do the elevation thing where it changes height, but I kind of like that. That's new. It's a new thing. I'm going to put this back up where it covers that. I didn't cover it all the way. So what I mean by that is when I say quote a stat, up here it says stat. We are going to, I was about to point with my finger, this doesn't help at all. We will do calculators a lot. We will do summary stats a lot. We will do tables a lot. We will do proportion stats and t-stats a lot. That's our 5 main things we go to this semester. We will hit ANOVA and goodness of fit at the very end, but most things are going to be in calculators, summary stats. For the first half of the semester, everything will be calculators, summary stats, or tables, sorry. In the latter half, when we're doing after the midterm, we'll start doing this stuff down here. So I said go to tables. We're going to click on frequency. So stats, table, frequency. You click the column you want to sort and use. I'm going to click best time because that's what I called the column that's got the noon, morning, late night stuff on it right there. To select more than one column, notice frequency and relative frequency are already selected. I can click just on one, and it will only do one. If I want to do more, I can to select more than one. In the grid. Hold down Control. While clicking. That will do, or sometimes dragging down the list works. If you have an Apple, I do not know what the Apple key is. I don't know if it's Command or the Apple key or what. Or if you guys have a control. Shit, you guys might have a control key. I don't use Apple products. Command. Thanks, Natalie. So let's take a look at that here. I'll just do a couple things while we're doing it. I can click on frequency. If I click on frequency and hold the mouse button down, I'm dragging down, I can highlight more than one. Or I can hold down the control key and click something that's not connected. I might be able to do this up here. I can't. So before I do this, one thing, like if I wanted to select multiple columns, if I want to select one that's not on the list, this is important. You're going to get madder than shit when you do this and it fucks up your Zoom. Do not hold down the control key when you're scrolling. If you're using like a mouse wheel or something, I can control click all I want right now, but if I hold down the mouse key while I hit control, watch what happens. My Zoom shit changes. That sucks. Now I got to zoom the other way. So let go of control, scroll down, then hit control and select another one. I'll mention this repeatedly in other sections. Right now we're just doing best time, and I wanted frequency and relative frequency. We have some options here. I'll show you grouping by later. It's not that important for now, but we'll use it later in the semester. Order by is one of the boxes you might care about. Do you want values to go up? Do you want values to go down? Do you want it by the frequency going up and down? The value is if it's numerical. Right now, what this will do if I do value ascending is it should give it to me in alphabetical. Let's check. It does. Afternoon, evening, late night, morning, noon. It's alphabetically arranged. It gives me my counts there. It gives me this stuff right here. I don't really want that. If I want to go back and edit it without doing the whole process again, you can just click on options and edit. And I can change this to maybe count. I'll do count descending. And now it shows I'm counting down. The only difference I have right here between my list and in Statcrunch and what I have on the paper is morning and noon are off. Without putting in actual numbers for time, this is about as close as I'm going to get. So we can line it up. Check it out. I've got, now I'm going to blow it up. Make the numbers easier to read. So for morning, I've got 0.2549, 0.2549 here, 0.2941, 0.2941 here. You can see they all line up. This was with the rounding. They all line up. So there's several times where, especially on homework, it'll actually upload everything for you. If it doesn't upload everything for you, you need to type everything in. For a project, you may want to do it anyways. Here, not only does it give me my frequencies, I can tell it to give me my relative frequencies, and notice it tells me my count up here. So it gives me a lot of information. This is a pretty handy table. Some other things that you might find useful where you'll see stuff that's similar is, let me write on the bottom of this out. We can go to graph. And then we can do bar plot. And we'll be covering these a little bit more next week. Pie chart. Both of these options have with summary and with data. I'll show you in a second. Oh, I'm off screen. With summary and with data.
Professor Jones, sorry to interrupt. How would we do this with one of like our homework questions where, like, how could we use Statcrunch? Would we have to type in every single data that's given to us in the homework question?
No, usually they link it, and I'll show you that in a second.
Okay, cool.
Let me finish with the graph thing, and I'll show you how you can upload this stuff without typing. So we've got with summary and with data. Graph, bar plot. Right now we have the data, all the rows are typed in, everyone's response is typed in. That's when you use data. Data is all responses are entered. And summary is for if you just typed in a summary. And I'll show you both. So we have the data here. I can look at it with data. We're doing best time again. You can tell it frequency. Can I do more than one? No, I can't. I'll go by relative frequency here. I'm going to do count descending like I did before. Something that you'll find very handy when you do the bar plots is doing value above bar, clicking this display thing. And we'll be doing this again on Tuesday. I'm just showing you here real quick. But it gives me the bar plot. And if I put my cursor over it, bar, it actually tells me. You can see it says relative frequency is 0.294, but it also gives me it only to 3 decimal places, unfortunately, but it gives me the number above the bar as well. Which makes it so, like if I don't, like if I'm printing it out, why does one of them miss it? Why is this one missing one? Oh, crap. Let's see that again. I deleted it. What did I do? I selected the wrong column. There we go. Okay, so it's got the values above the bar, so I don't necessarily have to put my cursor over it. Here it's only rounding to 3 places, but it can be helpful. You could also do the pie chart if you like pie charts. And here, the way I've got it set up, it's already selected to do count and percent of total. So it's showing me the frequency and the relative frequency as a percentage. But here now I can visually see how it looks. So those are different ways to see it. If we were going to do summary, I want to just show you doing summary real quick. I'm going to make a new table. And I'm going to type in those values. I'm going to have morning. You know what? I'll do the hour. I'm going to say 08 for 8 a.m. We'll say 12 for noon. We'll say afternoon is 14. Evenings about 5 or let's say 6 p.m. That's at 1800. This is military time I'm doing right now. And maybe 2200. Maybe I should make these look like military time rather than just the hours. We'll make 11 o'clock the noon hour because we don't want it just 1 hour. Maybe we'll start at 700. And the totals we had here were 26, 30, 20, 17, and 9. So now I've summarized the data. I don't have all the things, but now I can do that bar plot and do with summary or the pie chart with summary. And I tell it where the categories are. They are in var 1, which stands for variable 1. And my counts where my frequencies are in variable 2. And I could say I want relative frequency. I could do count descending, display value above bar, and compute. It didn't do value above bar. There it goes. If you happen to have survey or summary and you try to say with data, watch what happens. If I say with data, I had 2 columns. Let's just click compute. And it says I've got 1 of each. So it's counting for the frequency of these. And it's counting for the frequency of 9, 17, 20, 26, 30. So you should have something that looks terrible if you click the wrong one. Okay, Natalie's, it was Natalie, right? You asked about the homework?
Yes, I did.
Let's go take a look at it. Let's see what we can do. I'm gonna go to chapter 2. And let's enlarge this. And generally beginning ones don't have data, but let's pick a later one. Click the icon to view the table of television counts. Without reading the question, I'm just going to illustrate it to you. It's got all the counts here. See this little icon right here? Let me see if I can zoom in. Too far. That bad boy right there, the window on window. Zoom back out so I don't have super size. I can click it and say open in Statcrunch. And it loads all the data. Let me look for another problem and see if it has more than just single numbers. Nope, just got single data. But again, we can do this here. Open in Statcrunch. It is asking us to do a frequency distribution. Notice it's in table format. So I can go stats, tables, frequency, select potholes. I'm going to do both because generally if they ask one, they ask the other. This might be a two-part question, so I'm going to leave them both up there. And I'm going to do value ascending, so it's going by the pothole number. So number of potholes like that, and I come over here. Ah, crap. Just type them in. Make sure, before you hit enter, make sure you, first off, your values are correct. I just put the wrong value there on accident. And also make sure these numbers match up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines up with there. Especially when it's alphabetical. Some things like Statcrunch may not have, the math lab problem may not have stuff alphabetically, but Statcrunch does it alphabetically. So you might start typing in the wrong thing for the wrong letter of the alphabet. If I click check answer, and it does, it asks me for a relative frequency. Since I've already set it up, I can do it. I got to look at the 3 decimal places thing. And so I need to round to 3 decimal places. This is 0.3412, so 0.314. You shouldn't have to put the 0 in front.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
For the one above, for like the frequencies that you found, how would we like find that without using Statcrunch?
You got to go through and add all the ones by hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 ones.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure because for the test, like we're not gonna be able to use Statcrunch, correct?
Oh, hell yeah, you will be able to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you will.
Oh, okay, that's cool then.
I'm not a dick. That would be totally messed up to go, this is how you do it with a computer. Guess what? You don't get to use the computer on the test. That'd be messed up.
Okay.
This is
'cause I
a
was gonna
lot
say-
slower by hand.
Okay, yeah, because I've had classes where like they like tell us like stuff to use, but then like on the test kind it's like you got to figure out like the original way of doing it, I guess.
Some teachers here do the hand method on everything. I learned it that way myself. But I'm aware of how the world works. If you go and get a job where you have to do statistics, they're not gonna like you. If you have 10,000 entries, you're asking people all over Visalia, they're not gonna ask you to count that shit by hand. They're gonna make you do it in a computer program. A lot of times they use some programs. There's a program called R. There is SPSS is a common one. There's a couple common stat softwares, and they all do something similar to this. It might not be the same command like stats, tables, frequency, but they all have the equivalent. You can type in the data and get the frequency and relative frequency.
Okay, cool.
Your boss would not have you count it by hand. First off, it takes you too long. Second off, you're gonna mess it up. You're gonna give the wrong information. So, good question.
Cool. All right, cool. Thank you.
Good question. I'm going to go back and continue down this list just to finish out the question. See if there's any more. Sometimes you can click tab to go between columns or rows. That's what I'm doing here. And I wasn't sure. I tried doing down arrow. Down arrow didn't work. Tab did. 0857 rounds up to 86. Putting a 0 in front should not mess it up. I don't have zeros in front of most of them. I have a 0 in front of that one. One of my answers is wrong, so I probably rounded wrong somewhere. Let's see, 0.314, 0.143, 0.171, 0.114, 0.114, 0.057. I did. I missed by on the last one. That's a 0.856, so it should go to 0.86.
Will our exams, oh wait, it says it right there. I'm sorry. I didn't see where it said round to 3 decimal places.
Oh yeah, it will tell you. And sometimes you gotta look on each time. This early chapter doesn't have a lot, but sometimes they'll have like parts A through F, and parts A through C, they'll have you do like 4 decimal places, and then all of a sudden on D, they change to 3 decimal places. And you've got in your head 4, and so you put in 4, and it says you're wrong, and you're like, you start looking at what you did, and you're like, no, everything looks right. It's because they changed the number of decimal places. So check each time. Oh, 3 potholes. I want to change this to a percentage. I'm gonna move the decimal right twice. It says for 3 potholes. So 0.171 becomes 17.1. And again, it says round to 1 decimal place. How many parts does this section have? 5 or more. Well, now I got to add them up. I got to add up 5, 6, and 7. So let me get out my trusty calculator. So I got 0.257. Another way to get percentage is multiply by 100 if you're doing it in a calculator. That moves the decimal right twice. And I got 25.7. Says next question. Okay, this is where I was telling, I mentioned it last week. If you find yourself using the view an example a lot, click close the question, not next question. Notice I clicked the X and closed it. And you can click similar question, and it gives you a brand new problem with different numbers. So you have to redo the Statcrunch thing. But I had 11 last time for number 1. I should have something different this time. Presumably, I'll have different counts. Oh, the 11 is the same, but the other numbers are different. So they give you different numbers each time, so you can't just copy the numbers that you had before. If you use the view an example too much, it's worth doing this, clicking similar question, because the view an example is not available on the midterm. None of the questions have that option listed as an option. So make sure you know how to do it before you get to that. I think that about wraps up everything we needed to talk about. We got through 2.1. We answered a lot of questions there. We did some math on it. Talked about how to use Statcrunch. Do you guys have any more questions?
I think on one of the, maybe we just haven't got into this yet, but on one of like the following, or one of the homework questions that follows, like it's a follow-up question. It's asking like for the percentage of, like how much of a percentage is it descriptive or inferential statistics? I'm not sure if we just haven't got to that yet.
Descriptive.
This is, I can copy and paste the question into the chat.
Which question is it?
It's question number 1 on chapter 2. Question number 1D.
Let's just get to it real quick. You already doing the homework. Scared the shit out of me.
I'm sorry. That's my mom's ringtone.
All right, A, B, B, and 0, A, B, B, and 0. Good, good. They're in the same order. Shit. So 21, 2, 8, 19. I think walking through it is more helpful for the other students. Oh, relative frequency. Straight to the guns. Didn't do regular frequency. Look at this. This is what happens when you don't read the question. Tells you you're wrong. Don't automatically assume you did shit wrong. Go back and make sure you read the question correctly. I just assumed frequency and didn't even read it. I was bad. I didn't even read the problem. I just grabbed the data table and started going. Don't do what Jones is doing right now. Read the damn question. The one that's the most common has the largest relative frequency. A. AB is the least common. Okay, so this is the question you're asking. Now I better read the problem. A phlebotomist draws the blood of 50 patients, sample patients. It's not the whole population. Okay, now let me get to D. Use the results of the sample to conjecture the percentage of the population that has type O. Is this an example of descriptive or inferential? What we did up above was descriptive. These stats describe the sample. If I use these sample frequencies or percentages and apply it to the overall population, what I'm doing is I'm inferring something. I'm making inferential statistics. So it should be inferential. And it's asking about type O blood, which would be 38%. So that's the difference. We did talk about, well, there's more. We did talk about what inferential meant before earlier. I forgot they asked you questions like this. So inferential is when you take something that applies to the sample and you try to make it apply to the whole population. Let's see, contact a local hospital and ask them the percentage of the populations that is the blood type O. Why might the results differ? A, the results might differ because certain hospitals only treat patients if they have blood type O. That's stupid. So where's my annotate pen? I'm going to annotate this. This is dumb. A is dumb. Hospitals don't just treat patients with O. B, the results may differ because there's always a chance that the sample surveyed is unlike the population. That's a possible choice. Let's see if there's a better one. The results might differ because hospital patients are constantly being admitted and discharged. Well, that's true from anywhere. Same with the phlebotomist here. That doesn't make any sense. The results might differ because the results from the study are not likely to be similar to actual patients. Well, then what they're saying is these 50 patients aren't normal patients. That's not a very good idea either. Why would he ask 50 patients? So it should be B. I'm going to clear all that writing off. Click B. Click check answer. I see a chat thing. Next question is option. Oh, that was you posting the question. All right, I'm glad you asked. That's a good question. Anybody else got some questions? Awesome. Well, I guess we'll wrap this up. It's already almost 8:30, so we can call it a wrap. And when these when Zoom finishes processing the videos, I will upload both videos into our YouTube channel, so you can look at them later. Okay,
Thank you. Have a good night.
you too. Have a good weekend. Don't forget to email me if you've got questions over the weekend. Peace.
Professor Jones, I was gonna ask you, how do we check to see when like the homework is due again?
So the actual assignments will tell you. In Statcrunch, it gives you the due dates and time. If you want to look at them in Stack or in Canvas, if you click on syllabus, assignment due dates are listed here. Chapter 1 will be due Tuesday, September 6th. So there's a couple spots you can find it.
And then, can you go to the extra credit? So
Say that again.
can you go
Oh,
to the,
the assignment.
yeah. So like, how do I do the extra credit? Like, how do I make the calendar and all that?
I do not want to watch that. Let's. So if you want a 30-minute spreadsheet or a 15-minute spreadsheet, I recommend Excel since you have access to Excel through the school, or if you want to do a Google Sheet or a PDF, go right ahead. I'm going to use Excel. I did 15 minutes. You could do 30 minutes or 15. And I'm going to go through it and say what I'm doing during those hours. I sleep till 6:45, so I'm going to say sleep. Oh, enable editing. I'm going to put sleep here. And maybe copy and paste it until 6:30. And I go to bed around like 11:30 usually. So I'll say 11:30 on is all sleep. And I would do this across the rows, and then I go, okay. Well, from 8 to 9, I am teaching Calculus 3. And I have office hours for Calculus 3 right before that. And on Mondays, I have tutoring in the math lab from 10 to 1. So I'm going to put that here, 10 up to all the way up to 1, but not including 1. And this is all going to be the same as on Tuesday. So let me copy this over to Tuesday, where I have your guys' class and can add that in. I also have 9 to 1 on math lab. I do have office hours for stats from 5 to 6:30. And from 6:30, I teach stats. 6:30 goes up to 8:30. And now I've kind of penciled in everything else, all those things. What am I doing when I wake up? 6:45. I definitely need to, bathroom and make coffee. What am I going to eat? I'm probably going to eat while I'm tutoring, but if I actually have students, I may just wait to have lunch now. On Mondays, since I've got time, I'll probably have breakfast in here. Give it 30 minutes. Generally on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll put the lunch thing over on Mondays. Tuesdays and Thursdays, after I'm done with you guys, I'm gonna go eat dinner with my wife. So dinner. And now I got a bunch of time left over that I can decide what I want to do. Generally this morning hour, half hour I'm prepping. This is a good idea for my time so that my classes are better. And I generally look over notes for you guys for 15 minutes as well before I start doing 15 to 30 minutes, just to make sure I'm fresh on what I'm telling you, how to do everything in Statcrunch and stuff like that. By this point, I'm pretty good at where everything is in Statcrunch. I have it all memorized, so that's not a big issue. But I'd include it, and then I go, okay, what else do I want to do with my day? I need to make, now where am I going to pencil in my work that's not class related? For you, it would be like doing homework. For me, I got to record lecture videos for Calculus 3. So maybe I'll come over here, and I'm sure after I'm done eating lunch, I'm going to want a break from working all morning. Maybe I'll pencil in TV or games until 2:30. And then at 2:30, I will come in and do make lecture video. And I'll plan for that to maybe take till 5. It may or may not take that long. I don't know. And so go through and fill in what you've got, or things that you have to do. And then you can find time to do the stuff you need to do, but doesn't have a fixed time, like homework. Penciling where homework, finding a good spot for homework. If I don't do something like this, and I know because I don't do this, I end up putting off making lecture videos. What happens in reality is TV and game time comes all the way down to like 4 o'clock, and I'm like, shit, I need to get something done. And then I don't spend enough time on my lecture and videos.
Yeah.
So, but if I have this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I have this calendar written out, and having seen at this point, I'm probably going to say 15 minutes is probably not the thing I want to do. I probably want to do 30-minute gaps. But it just depends on how much shit changes.
Yeah.
If I do this, and now that I'm doing it, I probably should do this. Maybe I can stick to a better schedule and be more productive with my time. I got TV games listed here. I probably should throw on the list. Fucking around on Discord. I get on Discord or social media, and I spend just way too much time there.
Yeah, I
It's
get, the
a
same way. Yeah, the same way.
So plan for when you're gonna do that shit. Like, go, okay, I'm gonna do homework from this time to this time.
Yeah.
Put an alarm on your fucking phone to remind you it's time to go work on my homework.
All right.
That's the point of doing this. Then once you've done the calendar, that's planning the calendar. That's the first part.
Yeah, just try doing it now.
And then the second part is after you've done it for a week, tell me how closely you matched the calendar. And if you did match the calendar, how much more productive you felt.
All right, cool.
If you do it, it's a good use of time.
Yeah,
it takes a little while to set up.
Yeah.
But you're going to lose all that social media time. And you'll find this is the case. If you get your plan for your homework to get done first,
okay,
homework is less stressful. Don't wait until the day before homework's due. If you do the homework, Natalie was doing chapter 2 homework today. The shit ain't due. She's doing homework that's due on September 13th.
Yeah.
She's doing it in a stress-free time. She's got plenty of time to ask questions, low stress. If you're doing it September 12th at midnight, guess who's fucking asleep? El Jefe's asleep. He ain't answering questions. So you do it early, it's less stressful, and it makes playtime more fun.
Yeah,
I'm not, if I get my, because when I'm doing Discord, just like with you probably doing social media and stuff, I'm sitting there thinking I really should get to work. I need to do my lecture videos. And it's kind of like making the game time less fun or Discord time less fun. I get it done first. I can go play video games all night. I can watch TV, go to the movies with my wife, and I've got no guilt. I don't got anything in the background going, I got shit to do. I already got it done.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no,
So
I get you. I'm the same way, yeah. That happens to me too. Like I'll get like carried away, and then like I'll be gaming, and then I'll be like, it makes it not fun, and then I'm just like,
Right, because you're
oh,
thinking I gotta get shit
yeah,
done, and so it's
yeah,
making the game less fun.
yeah,
A lot of
Right.
people don't think about it,
yeah,
but
I
if you
know.
stop and think about it, you're like, shit, I am fucking up my game time.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
That's
the
true.
homework's gonna take the same amount of time regardless. In fact, homework probably takes longer when you're stressed out at the end, when you don't have any time.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you start focusing on, oh, I'm not gonna get done, I'm not gonna get done, rather than just actually doing the work.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
actually, homework takes less time, so you'd have more game time in the long run.
Yeah. All right then. Well, thank you.
All right. Uh-huh.
All right,
I'm
have a
glad
good
you
one.
asked.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good one.